website right now and download my free course on alternate picking mastery. It contains 5 essential exercises that will take you to alternate picking mastery faster than you can imagine. And then I've included my method of how to lay out a practice plan in just 1 to 2 minutes that will absolutely boost your results like nothing you ever tried before. So go download it right now. It's free. Hey! We have something we need to talk about. And that is that very often I get these messages from people that needs more tabs, right? It's a need we have. We need to have everything laid out on tabs, and that's a good idea, of course, because it saves us time. We don't have to, listen for what is going on. And in the beginning of, whatever stage we're on, it can be a problem listening for what is going on. Where do you play it, with what fingers, and so on. So tabs are really a nice tool. But what we don't see is that I talk a lot about mastery, right? And in order to achieve mastery, we in that unconscious level of playing where we don't think about everything as easy as water, right? We're not, because that enables us to really play and express ourselves without thinking about the mechanics of playing, just like when we're talking. But in order to get to that place of mastery, we need focus. We need to focus incessantly and obsessively on one thing, right? But then, how does that look, really? That's the next question, right? How does it look in your daily practice routines? Because, you have multiple things you need to learn, and if you just focus on one thing at a time, it can seem like an eternity before you get to all of it, right? Around every skill you need to practice. But one of the pointers that you can use in order to figure out how it actually looks in your daily routines is if you have to bring along tabs, or if you have to sit down each time you're practicing and look at something that is written before you can practice, then you don't have focus. That's for sure. Of course, we need tabs when we need to learn the little thing that we're focusing on, or that we're about to focus on. But if you need to pull out those tabs to remember what it is that you're going to practice right now, then I can assure you that you don't have focus because you're practicing too many things. Here's the process that I use and that I have been using for decades each and every time that I want to learn something. Whether it be a huge amount of arpeggio shapes or scale shapes or, new chord structures, excuse me, whatever it is, and especially if there's a lot of material to learn. What I do is I look at it and I take the first couple of shapes or the first couple of notes or whatever it is, and I practice. I determine how much I want to bring with me by how much I can remember in the time allotted to me. If I have an hour, then I might be able to, take a little bit more with me than if I only have 10 minutes with my tabs. But I make sure that I use that practice time to remember, to be able to remember. I need to get the tabs from the paper and into my head, so I don't need the tabs anymore. And if you say, I can't remember that much, then you want to bring with you too much, right? Because that's not having focus. So you learn whatever it is that you want to learn. If it's sequences, then you learn the first sequence and you learn it to the point where you can remember it. And how do you guarantee that you can remember it, right? You make sure that you play it so many times that you can. So you have it in your fingers, and you look at it, and you think about it, you say, okay, what is it? I go from here and then up there, so you can really remember it. And then you take another thing and scramble the memory of the first with something else, and then see if you can return to it. And I'm talking, in the range of 10 minutes here. That you learn the first thing, or 15 minutes, and then you take another thing, like whatever, if it's sequences, right? And then you go back and forth. And the second thing you learn, it really enables you to embed the first thing even harder into your brain so you can really remember it tomorrow. And then you bring those two things, and vice versa, right? The first thing scrambles the second, and then, right? And then you might do 3 things if you have an hour or if you have more times than that. But it's important that you can then put away the tabs and then you don't have to look at them for a week because that's all you are practicing for that week, right? You use 75% to 80% of your time just playing that in front of the TV by yourself with the metronome, right? And then the next week, you look into something else and you practice that. It might not be a week. Like if you're practicing a song, you need to learn a song for a gig, for instance, and you have like 10 songs you have to learn all the chords, then you make sure that you just take the first verse, right, of that song, and you learn that, and then you scramble it by learning the bridge and the chorus, for instance, of that song. And then you see if you can, without referring to the notes, you see if you can remember the verse again. And then without referring to notes, you see if you can remember the chorus and the bridge once you get to that. So you constantly shift and learn and forget during those hours you have with the tabs. And then you take that, what you have learned with you, and then you repeat it. And if it's something that you need to remember, like chords, you know the chords, you know how to play them, right? Then if it's just the order of them, then you need to have spaced repetitions. You need to, learn them and then move away from them. Then have another song that you also try to remember, so you can scramble the memory of the first song. And then you might, practice for 10 seconds. I got it, right? And then an hour goes by, you practice for 10 seconds again. So you constantly learn and forget if you want to remember. But that also means that you don't need the freaking notes of the tabs. You need those to get it embedded in your mind, and then you need to work with it in your mind. Whether it be something you need to remember, or whether it be something, I have spaced repetitions of just remembering. I still remember that song. Yeah, I got it, right? Take another song, scramble it, and go back to the first. You still remember it. Cool, right? Back and forth all the time. Introduce a third song, back and forth. But you don't need to use a lot of time on it. When it comes to, developing picking techniques, any other technique, you of course need to use multiple hours in front of the TV, by yourself with a metronome, but don't practice any more than you can remember. Right? And if you need your tabs every time you need to practice, it's a sure sign that you're practicing too many times or too much at one time. Subscribe for more free videos. Do it. Do it now. Do it.